In 2020, the world was crazy for a lot of us. And I came to the realization that my favorite mechanism in a game is... Hey, my name is Brent here on Cloudy with the Chance of Meeples. Today on the channel, we're going to be looking at the third and final installment in the Century Trilogy. Of course, Century Spice Road is the original, and then they rethemed it with Century Golem Edition. And this one today, Century An Endless World, is a retheme or reskinning of Century A New World. So if you know how to play Century A New World, this is the exact same game, just in the Golem universe with all the crystals. So how does this one play? Is it as good as the first one or the second one? Let's find out. Cue the thunder. So the radar overview for Century An Endless World looks like this. As you see, we have it set up on the upgraded optional player mat or playmat. It does not come with it, but it looks really nice. This is a vertical one, so it would go further down. If you're playing the first and the third one combined, you'd use this part of the playmat. I will say this: the playmat seems a little bit more narrow than the other ones. And what I mean by that, there's not much room on this side. And I understand here I have it separated or dumped out, but these are put here, and if you're playing this, you know, not vertically but horizontally, these facing inward, I don't know, it would be a pain for the people sitting on the opposite side of the table to get these gems. Of course, you know, you could be a good competitor and give the gems to people, but I'm just saying the playmat is a little bit, to me, a little bit too narrow. I will also say, if you're getting the playmat, you will get a second one. This will play, don't know if you'll be able to see it very well, but the second one, you'd be able to play with the second and the third game combined, and then has room for more of these if you're playing a combined, like full experience, all three games combined. So that is what you get with the optional upgraded playmat, and they are nice, and they just bring everything together much like the other ones. This is a worker placement game in which you'll be putting workers to different locations to collect gems, to upgrade gems, to trade gems, to then purchase the help of different golems. And each of these golems will give you a benefit of sorts. Like this one, it would take one less worker to go to a spot or a location that has a mushroom. Or this one would let you take one of these cloud tokens off of the board. As you see, there are different locations that start with these cloud tokens. As soon as you take these off, it would then reveal a brand new location to go to for the rest of the game. Why would you be taking certain ones? Well, of course, the point value is one of them, but another reason is you would be taking specific golems or working towards specific golems to combo with these bonus tiles that you can have 3 of. So this one would just be a straight 3 victory points, but say, for example, this one, you get 1 victory point for each set of 2 workers. You start the game with either 6 workers in a 3 or 4 player game, or 7 in a 2 player game, with the possibility of moving up to 12 workers. How do you get workers? Well, as you see on this card, if you would fulfill this one, you would gain then 2 workers immediately. On your turn, you will, as mentioned, be putting characters out, or little workers out, to gain gems or upgrade gems. And if you cannot or do not want to put a worker out, you would then do the action of rest, which would mean pulling all your workers back to your little player board. So if I would go here, I'd have to put 1 guy, and I would get then 1 green gem. Say it's the next person's turn and they are playing the purple character. If they wanted to go there, they would have to put 1 more than the previous player, and then that would kind of boot this player back to their player board. And then the purple player would then activate that, get 1 green gem. So as you see, there's multiple mushroom, as well as a leaf, and I guess this is salt and water, because different golems, as mentioned, they all come with benefits and perks. So anytime you would go to, if you have this golem card in front of you, anytime you go to a location that has the little water symbol, you would also gain 1 yellow gem. So you'll continue to go until one player has 8 of these golem cards, and then you go to final scoring. I will say this, you can only take 3 of these bonus tiles, so when you choose those, you must choose them wisely to just benefit the most or maximize your bonuses. And yeah, as I mentioned, the game ends when someone gets 8 of these cards. Each game is going to feel a little bit different because these tokens are put out randomly. This board is also random. You get a couple other ones that you will be using that you will just pick randomly. As with the other, the second golem and the third, or yeah, the second as well as this one, it comes with the rules for this specific game, and then you can mix. So this is the rule set for Golems edition plus the third one, and this is for the second and the third one, and then they have a rule set for this first, second, and third one where you'll be using a whole ton of components. That is how you play Century Golem and Endless World. Let's check out the final forecast. So the final forecast for Century and Endless World, much like the rest of the Century line, production quality of these games is just top notch. The crystals, they're amazing. You know, it has all those tiles, of course the artwork on the golem cards, which I will say it repeats a lot in this one, which is a little bit of a bummer, but overall production is amazing. Of course, I showed you the playmat as well, that it's an optional upgrade purchase, and it's just I like them. I love all. I have them all, and they're just amazing. This one's a little bit more narrow than I would like, but overall the playmat is fantastic. How does this game play? Well, in 2020, the world was crazy for a lot of us, and I came to the realization that my favorite mechanism in a game is worker placement. I don't know, I think Everdell kind of solidified that for me. Just something about, you know, putting a worker out, gain a resource, or put a worker out, do that action. And of course, there's tons and tons and tons of games with that mechanism, but in 2020, that was the year that I kind of realized that worker placement is my favorite game mechanism, and this has worker placement in it. Of course, you got those really, really tiny guys, and you're putting them in different locations, either gaining gems or upgrading gems, or of course getting a golem, or potentially a bonus tile. And I like those bonus tiles that give you a little bit of direction in the game, so you'll want to maximize that. And I like the different golems at the top that they, you know, each of them give you a different benefit. Some of them give you more gems if you go to certain locations. Other ones lets you go to locations with using less workers. So, you know, I like the engine building that you can get in this game, where you got to make them count. You only get 3 of those bonus tiles, and you really have to make them count because you're going to want to go for specific cards after you gain those tiles. So I like that, you know, the direction that this game gives. It's a pretty simple game. This is, I think, the easiest out of all 3 Century games. And the first one's very easy, but I think this one's almost easier because you only have 2 options on your turn. You're either putting out guys or you're taking them back. That's it. And, you know, you got some tough decisions as to when to pull back or when to rest, I believe it's called, because you got to decide, is it worth putting an extra guy in a location to help out my neighbor or help out my opponent? And, you know, you're going to have that a lot more in a 2-player game, helping directly one person, but in the 3 and 4 player count, you're going to be helping and, you know, having a decision on who you're going to bump out and when. So I like that. There isn't as much replayability in this one as the first one. Yes, you're going to have 3 out of the 4 mats will be the same, with that 4th one changing out between the 3. So there is some variety, and of course when you put all those cloud tokens on the different locations in the setup, they're going to be on different locations, so players will take them differently each game, which will open up different locations to go to. So there is some replayability, but definitely not as much as the first one, and I would say maybe not even as much as the second one, because the second one you have that spatial map where you're creating every time. But I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I think this is actually, like I said, the easiest out of the 3 to teach because you only have 2 options. There's a lot to think about, or a decent amount to think about. It's not mechanical, like, oh, go get a yellow one every time, or oh, go get a blue one. Like, you have to forward plan, much like all of the games in the Century line. I really did enjoy this one. It's still mind-boggling to me that you can combine all 3 of them. I'm not going to speak on the combinations of any of them, because I haven't played them enough to give a full-out, decent review on which one I like the best. But it's just crazy how you can combine all 3 of those Century games, and they kind of all feel the same, but they all have a little bit different mechanic. This one, worker placement. The second one is that spatial, moving around a map. And then the first one, of course, has hand management. But overall, Emerson Matsuuchi, the guy's a genius to come up with, the 3 games that can be combined. And so, yeah, this game, it's fantastic. I wouldn't say I like it as much as the first one. I think the first one is still my favorite. Something about just each game, you're going to have all those merchants and the way they come out and the hand management puzzle. But I think I like this one more than the second one. But if you had to pick any of them, I would say probably still pick with the first one. This one would be my second pick with the middle one, Eastern Mountains being the third one. But I'm going to give this one, let's say, an 84% chance of meeples. Not quite 85 like the first one, but 84% chance of meeples. I'm throwing a curveball now, but just fantastic. Plan B games, I will say this. I think they're my favorite company of games. They have so many games that are just fantastic. Of course, you have this. They're known for Azul, and Era is part of the Plan B games. And there's just so many good games under the Plan B umbrella. So that's fantastic. Check out this one if you are a fan of just fun worker placement, great artwork, great production. 84% chance of meeples for Century Endless World. My name is Brent. Check us out on Facebook, Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples. Remember, grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.